Now we look into the functional modeling. The functional modeling, which is actually part of the ARIS model as well, our architecture for information systems, for integrated information systems. And if we look into the ARIS model, then we find the functional model in the right part of it. Now, if we think about the functional modeling, we somehow have to make an imagination, or we somehow have to imagine how our information system should look like if we later want to use it. Or if we have some information already deployed, if we use some information system, then we can model the already existing functionalities in our functional model, and we might need to add the new functionalities which are required for our further development. So we somehow have in mind how our software looks like, the software when it somehow communicates with the user. And then of course we need to think also about the business process, process which is executed by people, executed by job positions. And if we want to connect the business process with the information system, then we need a function supporting a particular activity in our business process. And the function then should offer the possibilities to put in data for the business process into the information system, or to get some data from the information system to support the business process, or to do some processing, to trigger some processing, which then might also lead to the next step, to the next activity in the business process. If you look into these functions, then you might again organize the functions in a kind of hierarchical structure, so that you have, for example, like shown in the lower right part here, that you have an order processing function, and this function divides into the purchase of the material and the performance of the assembly. So two different special functions for this overall function, order processing. And if you see this these terms here, order processing or purchase material, then it connects to our control modeling, like where we had the processing of the order. And as shown in the control view, we somehow took care about the order. We checked the order. We we purchased the material, and therefore now we find here the functions we need in our information system. And function means that we later can describe a certain user interface, a certain form where you can put in data, or where you can get data from to support your particular step in your business process. And again, like in the organizational structure, you could have a process-oriented view onto this function tree, or a task-oriented view. So process-oriented might be that you have an overall function which might deal with order processing, like shown here, and then you fulfill the different steps which are important for processing your order, from the checking of the order to the purchase of the material, to the assembly, and then finally to the outbound logistics, which is the last step of our process. So you might have the process-oriented method to order your functions, to structure your functions. And then you might have the task-oriented ordering of your of your functions. Task-oriented might be that, for example, you collect all the purchase functionalities in one overall function, which you might name purchasing. And then within this purchasing, you might have the functionalities for the concrete purchase of materials, but this also contains then that you take care about the suppliers. So maybe supplier relationship management is then part of this purchasing functionality, or maybe also some services which you might ask from your supplier, which are also part of this purchasing area then. So if you work task-oriented, you don't care about the overall process to produce a certain product. You rather take care about the functionality in a specialized department. And as you can see here, you have this possibility to describe it in a function tree. Like mentioned before, you can have this function, this overview function here, for example, this order processing, and then this hierarchical dependency to other functionalities, such that you mean this functionality, purchase material, is a detailed function which is contained in this order processing function. Here you can see two different methods to organize your functionality in a software. First one is process-oriented, second one is task-oriented. In the process-oriented view onto your functions, you would take care about your product. Maybe you manufacture the standard product, and then for the standard product you purchase the material, you perform the assembly, and you deliver the product. So three different kinds of functions actually: purchasing, production, and outbound logistics, but you aggregate them here in this function for manufacturing the standard product. And then you see that you have this kind of process view here. You follow the functions and therewith you realize the process. And maybe there's only one person responsible for all the functions, or you have different people responsible for the functions. It depends how you have your organization. But anyway, the functions here are organized in this process view. And another process in this company might be that you have individual products where you have kind of adaptation to the user's need, which are every time different from other products. So you would then require first to inspect the product parameters which are desired by the customers. Then you have to individually create a working plan. You have to perform the assembly, you would do the production, and you would do the outbound delivery. So again, these different steps are important for realizing your entire business process. And if you follow these steps, then you fulfill the production of your individual product. So this part first is the process-oriented structure of your functional model. And on the right side, you see the task-oriented organization of the function. So again, you would have the production or manufacturing here, and then you would have some steps which are important for the preparation of the production and other functionalities which might be important for the execution of the production. And you can see here that the names of the functions are similar to the names in the process-oriented view onto the functions, but now they are ordered in a different way. So everything which is important for the preparation of the production, you have here in this left part, in this preparation part. So you purchase as a preparation, you inspect the product parameters, and you create the work plan. aspects which are important as you prepare your production. And in this case, you would not follow the steps to reach the goal of a certain business process. You rather would take only parts of these functions to realize your business process. In the second function, in the production execution, you would divide into two different functions, like perform the production or pack and delivery, and this might be your aspects for the production execution, for performing the production of the certain order. And then again, in this function, production execution, it would not be enough to just follow the functions. You would have to prepare your production with other specialized functionalities. So the task-oriented view does not align with the business process one-to-one. If you think about a functional modeling, then it also makes sense to think about times which are important for the realization of your activities, for your process chain, for your overall business process. So if we, for example, look into the production process, then we have 5 characteristical times which mostly appear in the execution of the business process, or in the execution of the production of certain goods. So first there is the idle time, for example. The idle time is the time when an order or the production part of the order waits for the processing. So if nothing happens, if just the waiting for the processing is done, then we talk about the idle time. A second characteristic time, which is important in the production, might be the training period. Training period, if you see that, for instance, you have a series of products, or a series of one product, and you would first do some accommodation to the production of this particular product, and this would then mean that you are in the training of the new product, of the new order, and you have a training period. Maybe you have some checking, you have some accommodation of the machines, you have to prepare the machines for the process. Then you talk about the training period. Then you might have some tools which are different for each product you can produce, and if you have to exchange these tools, then you talk about the setup time. The setup time, which then refers to this concrete preparation for the next product. It's actually not quite as similar like the training period, because the training period is a period where you accommodate to the new product. You somehow get familiar with the product, and this is something some general preparation. And the setup time here is concrete preparation of the machine, if you, for example, have tools which need to be exchanged for the next product. Then you have the pure execution, the execution of the production. So if you have 100 pieces to produce, then the execution time counts for these 100 pieces which are produced for this order. And then actually you are done with all the important times, and the next product might be manufactured, starting maybe with a training period or with a setup time. And altogether, the idle time, the training period, the setup time, and the execution time is aggregated to the lead time. The lead time, which then means the time which is required for all the steps for the production of the order.